those who were involved in making it come to life. Join us as we go behind the door.
On account of not knowing me?
On account of the feathers, chickadee.
Your father would have had half of us in the ground by now.
Oh, this goddamn bird will not shut up!
No!
Ain't no woman on God's green earth gonna trade places with you. Especially on account of $47.
Yeah. Just give me your knife and let me cut this noose off.
But why don't you just loosen the knot? Oh.
My mama loved me more than anyone ever will in this world.
Cole Amsel, you will hang by the neck until dead. Here at Dangler's Branch.
God loves you, boy.
Happy birthday, Uncle Sam! Woo!
What did you do?
Prolonged our hanging. Oh, sweet mercy. You finally drop a prickly pear, Cole?
Hearing what could only be a piece of what I knew to be true about my life as an outlaw wasn't as sobering as being blamed for taking the life of a child.
Hello there, welcome to Behind the Door Season 2, the only show that takes you behind the scenes of the Grey Rooms podcast. I'm your host, Brian Black, one of the creators of the Grey Rooms, and with me is Jason Wilson, creator and the one who made this all possible. Hello, Jason.
What up, man? I'm here.
If this is your first time listening, what we do is essentially talk about the making of the episode with the lead voice actor of the story and the author of the tale. The story we will be talking about today, Bo Chappell's Jailbird. So let's introduce Mr. Bo Chappell.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
The voice actor today is a legendary name that many of you listeners might have heard before, both in this podcast and more. Let's hear it for Mr. Graham Rowat.
Hello, I'm here.
Gentlemen,
I'm feeling the heat. You're bringing the heat. It's great.
Sweet. I almost said let's get it on. That doesn't work. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. And also, thank you so much for an amazing first episode, guys. Wow.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus 250,000. Did we hit that? Didn't
Yes, we did.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did hit the 250 mark.
With one episode, we had 250,000 downloads. It was amazing.
Yes. Over.
Good job, Bo.
Yeah,
That's
it's only.
it. Good job, everybody.
It was still, but yeah, everybody that's last season building up to this, geez.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, you had a great first episode. I think we're going to hear a lot, from our fans about it. And starting with you, Bo, actually, I did have a question. What did you think of the episode?
Oh, I can't tell you how, just how fantastic it turned out. It was because between submitting the story and getting it back, there's this long wait, and eventually you just have to forget that it's happening. And so when it came back, I was just blown away. It was one of those things where I don't believe I wrote that. It was just so elevated.
I definitely feel that myself when we're writing episodes. It feels like it's somebody else's. It's really crazy how everybody can take control of that and really make it feel new, even though you know how the story goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just what they took was just words on a page, and what everybody did with it. It's just amazing. So yeah, I absolutely adore it.
That's good to hear.
Very proud of it.
Do you sometimes get, it's been so long since you wrote it and you submitted it. Are there parts that you listen to and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that part?
Oh yeah, there was a lot, especially there was a lot of stuff with, between, Sheriff Gillum and, Graham. Graham's character. Cool. There was a lot of that stuff I just flat out forgot I wrote. A lot of that dialogue.
I think they just made it up.
It was just, you know what? It's funny. I did go back and check. I was like, did I write that? And it was just, everybody did. It was just so fun listening to. It was so authentic. That's what I want. That's what I want to say. It was just so authentically a Western.
Nice. Well, let me ask you, Bo, what made you want to write a Western?
Well, that's funny because it was right after the season had ended, season 1.
Yeah.
And me and you were talking about submission stuff. And you would talk about like, oh, maybe I'll write a Western or something. You're like, well, I was like, well, if you don't end up, let me know. It might be fun. I love Westerns, obviously, because my novel and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting, and then it got to the point where it's like, oh, I got a really good idea. Brian, are you going to write that Western? Because I kind of want to write a Western. And then you basically came back later, and you was like, yeah, I just did that so you would write a Western. So you
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, you did.
The old bait and switch right there. Good job,
yeah,
Brian.
Inception. You planted the dream seed.
Nice. Probably
Ooh, Brian, you got to tell him you're going to write a sci-fi horror next.
Well, what's funny is I've been trying to plant the seed in so many people.
Whoa.
Because when somebody,
whoa,
oh God,
There he goes again. He did it on Geekman, and he's doing it again. He does it. Worst way of explaining.
What's the time on the clock? And let's see what everybody bet for when the first one was going to drop.
I'm just going to put one of those right in there. That's what I'm.
Well, what I mean though is when we did do the submissions for season 3, people ask me what I want. I've been trying to plant as many story seeds as possible, trying to get different, like sci-fi and Western. Yeah, just, it would be great if you're going to write for season 3, just think of all kinds of different horror stories and send them to us.
Get crazy.
I want a spaceship. Give me a spaceship.
Graham, with you, have you played many Western roles?
Well, no, but one, I did get to work a little bit on the video game Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes, sir.
Where I was in a motion capture suit on a sound stage, and I did one scene. Well, there was 2 levels. I ran the gun shop in Rhodes, I think was the town. And so I had to stand there in this, it's basically a diving suit with all the dots on it, like you've probably seen in video game behind the scenes kind of stuff. And I sort of stood there and I said, hello, welcome to the shop. And then I had to act out what would happen if the player pulled a gun on me and told me to go. He wanted to see what was in the basement, and I won't ruin it for people, but there's a secret in the basement. So yeah, that was my main experience with Westerns, and they don't really test your dialects. You just show up and they're like, and you just do what you've got. And so, yeah, I think a lot of actors have their sort of stereotypical, I'm doing a Western kind of thing and I'll do it like that. Of course, my guy was more, hi, welcome to the theater, and I did put it up there a little more, and then just because it's the, if you're the hero, you put them down here and you talk like that and you're tough and no one's gonna mess with you. And if you're the yokel behind the counter, you're like, how you doing? So the Red Dead, I was more the how you doing guy, and then as Cole, I got to be a little more of the traditional hero, or rather anti-hero.
Now, wouldn't you say you might be kind of on the wrong side of the law there, Cole?
No, Bo, you played that scene, right? You saw Graham.
Yes. I every time I'm in that area too, like online, I'll just go and hang out with Graham. If I'm close, I'd rather go to Rhodes than anywhere at St. Denis. Anywhere, I'll just I want to go hang out with Graham.
We're gonna have to are you PS4 or Xbox?
Well, because all my friends are on Xbox and I play Xbox. It's the only, or else I would be playing by myself. So,
All right, well, never mind that.
it's that type of thing. You got to go where your friends go. Majority rules.
See, I have the. I bought it. I bought the game. I also did some work on Grand Theft Auto 5, and I was horrified to learn that they don't give you free copies of the game.
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed with that I never it took me like 2 years to get a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5, and I saw my stuff online pretty quickly, so I didn't need to. And with Red Dead, I'm like, well, I know they're not going to give it to me, so I'm just going to get it. I'm going to buy it, and I'll put it in, and I'll start playing it. And then the first night I played like an hour, and then the next day I found my stuff online, and I was like, on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm not playing that anymore.
Well, same question to you, Graham. PlayStation 4 or Xbox?
I bought it for PlayStation 4.
Okay, well, we got to hook up.
I also have the PlayStation 4, but nobody cares, I guess.
I never played. The last thing I'm playing Death Stranding, but that's another conversation, another podcast.
Yeah.
But
Well, wait a minute, Bo. You have a PlayStation 4, don't you? Because you played the Spider-Man game.
If he's playing Death Stranding, he is. Yeah.
I got both.
I just buy the games. I don't play them anymore, and it's the way I. There's always too much stuff to do.
Graham, how did you get into Cole's character? I know you kind of encroached upon that, but
I love the idea of a character who, most people have their own idea of right and wrong, and I think Cole, before things really start going south, he doesn't mind. Thieves. Even if you're stealing from people, you feel like you're justified in it. And I think Cole probably comes from, he's found ways to justify his behavior as being not necessarily lawful, but not necessarily bad. But as soon as Belinda shoots the child, is when everything starts to slide south from there. And I think he has to come face to face with the fact that maybe he doesn't have. Maybe he's not, he's never thought of himself as good, but maybe he was able to keep himself thinking that he wasn't bad, and that starts to evaporate. So in terms of how did I get there, though, it's really just through Bo's writing and through the conversations and the monologues that you just kind of sink into it. And I guess, it's just the power of imagination is the shorter answer.
I found myself liking Cole. Honestly, I was like, wow, I kind of like this guy. So you did a good job, Graham.
Well, thanks. And I like the fact that, there's a wonderful, Bo obviously wrote a wonderful, and the door is open for Cole for redemption. It's open. The Robin comes and tries to pull him back, and Belinda comes in and, there's a moment where he's on the fence. He's on the edge. He could go either way, and he just dives off the deep end, and he's lost. And it's the fact that there could have been a chance of salvation, and it just fell apart is a great thing.
Graham, another question then is, because you got into Cole's character, but how did you get into the bank manager's character?
Sure, the bank manager, I needed him to be as vocally. I tried to make him, whenever I have to do more than one voice, there's the idea of, I have an idea of who this guy could be, but I also feel like I need to make sure he's vocally different. So even though, so I basically just tried to, I had a picture of what he would look like in my mind, and then I tried to find a voice that fits that character, but is also far enough away from the other character I'm doing. So he was just somebody who was a bit of a blustering blowhard, and then I tried to pitch it vocally in a different octave.
I like it. It is. I have to imagine it is pretty hard though when you have multiple characters in a story like that, especially talking to each other.
Yeah, it's funny because I do a lot of audiobooks and I have characters. You always have to bounce back and forth between characters having conversations. And in audiobooks, they actually prefer that you don't make really broad choices. So the lead character of the book will always be my natural speaking voice. And then he goes into the room and talks to his captain, and his captain is like, well, why did you do that? I told you that was a bad thing to do. And then I'll go back, well, I'm sorry, but that's what you wanted to. And then the female officer will come in and she'll be like, I was on the bridge, captain, and I saw what he did, and it was the best thing to do. And it's just like in degrees. But I think in an audio drama, people expect it to be different people. We really set up the convention of having different people in every role.
Right.
And this year we have a couple opportunities for double casting, so I feel a bigger pressure to make it different and big choices.
Nice. How's that work for you, Jason?
It works great, man. I absolutely love it.
We got going. Actually, we will go to Jason. And this is kind of going back a little bit. I got a little ahead, but what do you look for in a horror story?
Me? Well, I mean, I'm kind of a traditional slasher monster kind of dude. So it's just, I guess, crunches and slurps and slops and just, I don't know, whatever's just gonna, when I listen to something, I kind of want my jaw to be on the floor. And I kind of want to walk away from that like, oh my God, that was terrible. That was horrific. And that was just something just really gross.
Can I interject with something?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
This episode, it was during, I'm assuming spoiler alerts for everybody that hasn't. With Belinda's death, I had give Jason a specific window, like, oh, he can pretty much do any sound effect he wants here. Just slashes and gashes and whatever he wants. And it was very low key. And then I was like, oh, he's really reserved. He really pulled back on this season. He didn't go over the top. And then the episode closes out with the most horrific, grotesque gurgles and just, and I was like, oh, there he is.
I thought it was a really great, that was a really great, if you were to, you know, Jason really creates these audio movies, and so in that final gurgle and gasp, the camera sort of had not fallen onto Belinda yet. You know, the action happened, but it had sort of followed Cole, and then it's like the camera's panned down to her at last. And then you saw what he'd done, and you saw her, that she was still holding on to life. And then you hear the wolves howl, and it's such a great, grim, horrific in my little movie that's playing. It's great.
Yeah, great closer. I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really easy script to work with because it was a really well written story, and it just it imprinted its own video into my head. So it was kind of like I was just taking what I was seeing and putting it out there. So thanks. I appreciate that. I was really happy with how it ended. Truly.
Jason, that actually gets me right to the next question I was going to ask you. When you have a Western like Jailbird, what do you do for ideas to bring that story to life? Honestly, it's kind of funny that you asked me that right after we talk about Graham. Because I mean, my dad was like big John Wayne fan. You know, I watched a lot of Clint Eastwood movies when I was a kid. I was a Western fan for the most part when I was a kid. But what really set the pace for this, to be honest with you, is I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And it was just really easy to just build that environment and just kind of go with just the story off of Red Dead Redemption. So that was pretty much it. Red Dead Redemption 2.
It was kind of my opportunity to act out. Yeah, it all stems back to Red Dead Redemption 2. Wanting to be the I wanted to be the lead. I mean, I don't know how they cast the lead actor in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. I'll show. This is what I'll do it right now. Gonna say, I bet one of them will listen to our pod. One of the Rockstar people listen to the Grey Rooms, and they'll see.
Well, hey, if Rockstar is listening, they'll feel pretty good that they pretty much inspired a lot of this episode. I guess.
Big time.
I'll get slapped with an NDA.
Well, it was like with the Red Dead Redemption 2, when I was playing it, the world was so vast and big that it really just opened my ears to some things, and that actually made me experiment with some panning and some envelopes. You know, I mean, I've taken season 2, and I'm actually doing some things I don't know how to do. I'm learning how to do some other things, like different envelope packages, like different. For example, like with Cole when he's in the bank, that was an interesting little fade with a pan at the same time that made Cole just go off in the background while he was berating Belinda, talking about how she dumped in her pants on a carousel. But I loved how it turned out because it made the world so big. It just like got really big. Like you're almost in there and you can look and see he's way over there, you know, arming this safe, you know. So Red Dead Redemption 2 did have a lot to do with the atmosphere in this story.
Nice. All right, guys. Bo, let's go back to you. This is about one of the big themes of the story. You basically have the idea of whether or not you're being the same person as your mom and dad, and how that plays a big part in the story. So where did that idea come from, that, you know, that character basically had sort of a battle between the personalities, between his mom and his dad, good and bad, all those sort of things?
It wasn't there in the original script. It was, I mean, there was still the debate, but I mean, it kind of grew more and more after I changed the ending and, you know, came up with, I think, better ones. Because the first one was just like a cop-out ending and I wasn't satisfied with it. But I've always been one of those, to me, I enjoy stories where people they question their identities, or they've been given an identity, and it's whether or not they accept that identity. Like, so I'm a big fan of like The Matrix and Memento and The Dark City, and, you know, stories like that where it's just, are you who people say you are? Or can you define who you are by yourself? And I think that's just a really important thing to tackle in everybody's life. It's, who are you and how do you define yourself?
Right.
And everybody is doing that constantly. It's like, sculpting clay or chiseling away marble. It's like every little bit's just, there's a little something every day. And it's when you try to ignore that stuff and then all of a sudden you're confronted with it, what do you do? So I like stories where people are just, you know, their noses are kind of shoved into it. And it's like, what are you going to do about this?
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
right.
And it's kind of like that story you wrote for season 1. You know, how a person doesn't have to accept the role they've been given, so they just become somebody else.
Yep. Which, by the way, if nobody's heard that story, they should definitely go take an opportunity to listen to that story. That was a great story.
Anybody want to say the title in the microphone?
Look alike.
Look alike.
That was a great story.
Bo, do you want to tell people where your initial draft ended?
Bo?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, things went a little haywire there for a second. What's up?
Did you hear the question, or?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. Things went down.
Sure. No, I was just. Do you want to tell people where your original draft ended?
Oh God! As long as people don't hate me for not doing that ending.
No, I think they'd be fascinated.
Well, the original ending was Cole played the bird into letting him go, and then he shoots the bird.
Oh my gosh! No, I didn't see that draft.
Yeah, no, I didn't turn it in at all. And,
gotcha.
And then this giant demonic bird would have shown up, and he would have been like, you know, what the hell is this? And she would have said,
"That was my wife."
She would have been like, "This is my father," and so I was like, "Oh, it's it's the theme," but that's like that's hammer, and I was using a hammer, so I got rid of that draft pretty quick. But when I turned in the story, the draft that everybody's seen, there was 2 places to end it,
right?
Because I didn't know how people would take it if the main character wasn't perfectly clear that the main character died.
Right.
So the original ending of the story that I turned in, I put a note in there, like when Cole starts to fade out with the wolves and he starts to hang. And he says, I feel regret. That's where the story would have ended. And if I basically left it up to everybody in the Grey Rooms to kind of take a vote. And I guess everybody voted to keep going with it.
Yeah.
And use full ending.
Yeah, I like how this one ended. I do, because somebody still died.
Yeah.
And in many ways, the Cole goes to a place that, I think whatever the path that Cole is now.
We'll talk about that, Graham.
Oh, cool, sure.
So, Graham is, hanging out with us and wanted to ask questions here. I wanted to ask him one. And basically, this goes to the fact that one of those notes that Bo was talking about gave us not only a list of options we had for the ending, but also actors that we should cast for the story. And so one of the actors... one of the actors that was very important that Bo wanted to see was actually all the actors were really from Lookalike as well, which was interesting. So Graham, how did you feel to be specifically asked by the author to do his short story?
I was honored. It's first off, it's always flattering for anybody to say, I like what you did with the last thing I wrote, and would you mind doing that? That's a great compliment. And knowing that the story you're going to get to do is going to be a good one because you know the author and how he writes, and so as a performer, that's one of my main concerns and pleasures is getting to perform emotionally complicated stories. So yeah, it was a great feeling, and I was excited.
Hey Graham,
so
just so you know that I'm happy that you did this because nobody else could have done it as good as you did.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also feel like there was a bit of who knows if this will continue this way, but I know that our season 1 of the Grey Rooms, I voiced the Great War, and so there's a part of me that likes sort of the symmetry of kicking off a season, and who knows if that'll happen again, but it kind of fit in my mind nicely that way too.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought everything went really good with this opener.
Yeah,
it really did.
It's all downhill from here.
I was kind of worried there because you turn in and you're like, I know how I feel, but I don't know how Graham feels about me. Exactly. And and my writing, and I was very nervous.
Oh,
but I was just like, I really enjoyed everybody on that cast, and it was just it was one of those highlights of my writing career to hear that. So it was important to me that try to get everybody back because I love them so much, including Gabe too, because Gabe and Holly, and I told Brian, I'm like, it's going to be a precedent now that like you have to have all 3 of them in all of my stories if you start picking them.
Oh, come on, bro.
Well,
Bo's directing our show now. He's going to take over.
All right, well, there we go. Season 3, we now know what's going to happen. It's going to be Gabe, Holly, and Graham. That's all it's going to be.
Hey, Bo, you mentioned that you love those characters so much, but did all of the acting that they did for this story, did they fit the characters in your head?
Oh, they did far superior than what I even planned. And like, you hear it in your head, but you don't actually hear it. It's
Right.
not. No, they far exceeded everything. And plus, I didn't know, who was going to be. I got to give it. Jason didn't know he was going to take Gillum part. I did not know he was doing that. So when he showed up,
Yeah.
and he says that first line,
It's okay, Bo. Neither did we.
Yeah, man. That's an interesting story in and of itself.
I would actually like to hear what made you decide to, because you did a fantastic job when you show up.
I'm
Like,
going
you have to tell
to
it.
take this, and I'm going to tell this with ultimate sensitivity. And I agree that Jason did a fantastic job. There was a strange issue happening with the cloud server that we were using. I had found an actor that I wanted. In my imagination, the sheriff was a slightly older voice, although Jason's stuff was beautiful. In fact, it was so beautiful that I ultimately listened to him thinking, wow, he sounds a lot like Paul. Paul Arbisi is a voice actor that David Steele got me connected to. He gave us lines. I worked with him. We had a back and forth. I sort of trimmed out the stuff we didn't want. I got it down to stuff. And when it came time to give to Jason, the cloud service wasn't working. So I sent it through our Outlook server, and we had a bunch of problems going on at this time.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when Jason sat down to edit things together, he couldn't find the file. And I think in his mind, he's another conversation that went through his mind, which was, I think Graham cast me as this part.
Yep.
And
my fault.
And I didn't realize until I heard the final mix. And even then, I wasn't listening for it. It was only when I saw the credits, because the voices are not that dissimilar, that I went, wait a minute. And I still haven't told Paul yet.
Oh.
And I'm wondering, I don't know whether Paul is going to find out on his own. But I have to,
no.
He literally wrote me. Paul gave us some audio for episode 2, and he wrote me back today after the holidays going, just want to check if you got what you wanted. And I'm like, okay, I got to tell him.
Yeah.
Well, you could tell him. You could tell him to listen to this, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Yeah,
Jeez.
absolutely. Yeah, like Paul's exceptionally talented, because after the fact, and I went back and looked and listened to everything, I was like, wow, this would have been great. But yeah, it was totally my fault. Totally my fault on that. I will take the blame all day, every day on that. So, but yeah, it's. Yeah.
What's amazing is that your sheriff in no way diminished the story. You were fantastic in the part, and it was only afterwards that I went, wait a minute, wait a second.
But you know what the funny thing is I was listening to JM mix today of the next story coming up, and I was like, I looked at my wife and I said, wow, I play a couple of big roles in the first 2 stories. This is awesome.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy that Graham would do that. Cast me in those 2 stories right off the top.
Yeah, my bad. That's my bad. So, Bo, that was my bad. But yeah, if it means anything, I had an absolute blast doing the Sheriff Gilliam. That was fun, because the way I looked at it is like, I'm looking at this guy, like, I'm kind of half cocked at him, like, whatever, dude. You're going to talk to me. You got a noose around your neck. You're going to stand there and you're going to listen to me talk. You run your mouth. I control the town, Boaz. That's how I took it, It's like, well, sorry, Paul.
Jason, while you're there,
I'll give you his email address.
Yeah, I need to send him a big one. Still gonna pay him.
Yeah.
Jason,
Yeah.
one thing what I wanted to ask you is, because we were mentioning JM. So JM creates our music, but what sort of things did you talk about for Jailbird specifically to bring out that music that we had?
Nothing. No, seriously, nothing. Like JM, I gotta tell you, man, if there's one thing I can say about anything as far as production on this, if there's one thing one person I absolutely click with, it's JM. Like, he and I really feed off of each other. The only thing I think I told JM was a Western. And that was it.
Nice.
I mean, he is an exceptionally talented musician and composer. So, like listening to what he did, I'm super giddy whenever he sends me a text message and says, "Hey, I have a preview file for you to listen to." I'm like, all right, I gotta jump on that. I gotta find a way to like not work for an hour or something. Like, put some headphones on and listen to. Yeah, he is an exceptionally talented composer, and yeah, we're really lucky to have him here at the Grey Room. Seriously.
Yeah, we've got an amazing team. Surprise! Spoiler.
Yeah. I
It's
remember
nice.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say that this is the season where all of the music you hear is being produced by JM Sheriff. Last season, some of the beginning episodes were just kind of picked out from the internet. This time, it's all JM. So all this amazing music is all his, and he has it on his site now. Is that correct?
Yeah. So JM's actually, I think he's compiling stuff to put together an actual like entire discography of every season. That's his goal, I think.
Yes.
On vinyl.
No, Graham, I hope. I love vinyl.
I went to Podtails this year, and there was a podcast there, the Call of Cthulhu Mystery Hour, and they had put their demo. Every table was supposed to have a way for people to come and listen to a sample of their show. They had pressed their demo onto vinyl.
Wow.
Well, that makes an impression then.
Yeah, you would come up and you put on headphones, and the disc would be spinning. How crazy was that? And yeah,
that is
the vinyl. We gotta have it.
We're gonna figure it out because I want it because I love vinyl. So yeah.
I have a question for everybody here. So who wants to answer first? Don't all answer at once.
Bo.
Hey, yeah, okay. You do it.
Okay.
I mean, he was so loud when he said that. He was like, I want to answer it first.
Get to the question.
What was your favorite scene to do? Or in your case, what was your favorite scene to write?
Oh,
I know, right?
It was close. I like the Sheriff Cole exchanges, but to me, the heart of it was I always enjoy writing monologue. That's another reason I really wanted Graham to do it, because Graham is fantastic at doing monologues, and it was very heartfelt. Of course, he delivered, and I think that's it. Just I love the opportunity to kind of emote through the characters that way when they're given an opportunity to finally, spill from the heart and say what they really mean finally. And I enjoy writing scenes like that. So that for me, when he finally expressed how he felt.
Graham, what do you think? What was your favorite?
Yeah. I gotta say, that was I hadn't picked out one, but I mean, obviously when as a performer, when you get to actually you get to the emotional heart of a piece, and it's so well written, and it's so revealing of a really subtle and the war inside of a person and the struggle. I'm definitely, I love sort of like shouting insults at the sheriff and the bravado of not being scared, even though you're standing there with a noose around your neck and still trying to act all cool, and even though you're seconds from death, and all of that stuff is a lot of fun. So there's a but yes, the emotional, when it all quiets, all of the loud stuff falls away, and it's just a person talking and trying to come to grips with what they've done. I'd say so. I'll go with the same part as Bo there.
Jason?
Well, I don't know. I think my favorite part, honestly, of this to do was the very beginning. To be honest, the kind of when you step through the door and you start to kind of look around, kind of like Westworld. You walk in there and you kind of get your eyes around and you look around and see how big it is. You hear the anvil and you hear like stagecoach go by, people walking, and then the explosion of the bombs. And I think the very first whole series of that, all the way up to the horse ride with Belinda and Cole, where they're shooting but they're getting shot at, and you hear the bullets whizzing by and everything else like that. I just thought that whole first half was probably the funnest part. I really, really had a really good time building that world at the beginning.
Yeah, setting it up, establishing the world. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What do you do when you sit down, Jason, and decide to build that world? One of the differences with the story was that it was actually submitted to us in script format. So you didn't have a lot of, like you could follow sound effects and music along with the story. Right. You had to create a lot of those scenes yourself. So how do you go about, setting your mind up as to what kind of sound effects you wanted for, each second of the production?
Well, again, like the script format was really cool. I actually am becoming quite a fan of that format. But all I did was just really take where it was going and just kind of close my eyes, man, and just figure out how I would think it would come in. The first thing I thought of, was going to be nothing, and then a stagecoach kind of rolls in and out. But yeah, just kind of take the cues off of the narration and everything else like that, and just kind of build from there. Just kind of close my eyes and think about how I would like to watch this movie. What movie am I watching? And that's pretty much it.
Well, you definitely made an awesome movie.
Oh, I appreciate that. I know that wasn't a sexy answer, but it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Going back specifics to the story, I did want to ask Bo. One of the interesting things that happens is that Belinda does come back to rescue Cole from the situation he's in. Why do you think she came back?
Belinda is
that's a good
Belinda's
question.
one of those people that they need a heel. They need somebody that they can just, you do this and manipulate, and because they themselves cannot make it on their own. And she's one of those people. And she was out there, and I always imagined that she was out there in more trouble. Of course, she blew all the money.
Of course she did.
And
$47.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't do this by myself, and I don't want to have to put in the effort to build up somebody else, and hire somebody and do this and that and the other. So she went back for him, just not because to help him, to help her.
Selfish.
Yes, it's completely selfish. That's exactly why she came back.
So, in case anybody would read the story or listened to it and thought, "Oh, Belinda does care about him," but just squashed your dreams.
No, yeah.
I never once thought that she cared about him. Not one time. The whole time I was like, no. seriously, I totally was like, okay, this is totally a relationship of convenience. That's what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm also careful about how I pick my names too. I specifically go and name characters. Well, aside from Yoke and Gillum, those are named after people I know. I just decided it'd be fun to stick their names in there. But like Belinda I picked that name because it means snake.
Oh.
And that's exactly what she is. She's a snake.
Oh, I
Nice.
did not know this.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And she's very manipulative, and that's even at the end. That's when she pulled the big guns about like who your dad was, because that was the end of it. She knew she was losing him, and she didn't have any more control over him.
Interesting.
Can I ask a question? And I think I asked this to you, Bo, once through direct message, and you can tell me if it's up to the listener. The idea that when I was reading the story, I kept feeling like the Robin was his dead mother.
Yeah, I had a couple people. Yeah, after that aired, I had a couple people actually message me about that, and the same question. I think Brooks was one of them too. Hey, Brooks.
And the ambiguity is quite nice, so don't feel
I wanted
the
to leave
pressure
it. I know what I wrote, but I wanted to leave it open ended for everybody.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's all sorts of ways you could look at it. He could have seriously been out there, just dying of dehydration, and imagining this whole thing, and he ends up hanging from the rope. And that is indeed how he died. Or, the bird could be his mother, or it could not be his mother. I kind of left that up to. I wanted to leave that up to the reader.
Yeah,
so to speak. I know what I intended, but I didn't want to I didn't want to put it in too much. But
no, I like it.
It is what it is. I want people with they decide.
Also, something that I know that I don't think you initially knew, Bo, was because we in the second season of the Grey Rooms we want to pay everybody, which is a big thing for podcasts to do, and a testament to the team to want to do this. But what that does in terms of casting an episode, it really changes things, because in season 1, if you had 10 characters in a story, you could have 10 different actors, and everything's very different now when it's 10 different people to pay. So but then you can come up with other interesting ideas, which, for example, is double casting. And I thought one of the ones that I was going to attempt was, what if, and I know that we were all wanting to try and get Holly into this story. And I thought, well, what if Holly did both Belinda and the Robin, which was kind of I thought was a bold choice. And I knew she could do it. And I guess the only danger is whether anyone put that together and think there was some sort of significance to that.
What's funny about that, Graham, is that I distinctly remember sending you a message like, hey, who are the other actors in this story? You, right? And you said it was Holly. I said, nah, get out of town. And you said it was Holly. I said, my God. Wow, she did such a good job.
Files. You've been working with these files for like weeks.
Yeah, I was like, who are these people? Yeah. So.
You realize that both of you both ended up committing violent acts against yourselves in the story too. Which is pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we did.
Except for the sheriff, who got the ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, it depends how you look at the end. The sheriff could be gunned down off of the script.
Or he could have been the different actor, and that was...
But let's talk about that. So, and this is again, not to you. Well, you can answer it later.
No,
just
never.
Chill. The ending. Cole survives, but is seen and described as basically losing his humanity. So, what do you see at the end of the story when he rides back to town? Like, it's not written in the story, but for all of you, what is your ideal ending that you see after it ends with Cole riding back to the town? What do you kind of see happening?
Oh, I want to go last on this.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I see him. He had his chance to. The Robin was his chance at redemption, and when Belinda kills the Robin, it all shatters. And so when he kills Belinda, I feel like he's tipped over into the blackest well of darkness. So when he rides off, he's just a force of darkness from then on out. So I think if he goes to that town and he's just there's no conscience to him. He used to have a sense of what he thought was right and wrong, and I think he's lost and he's going to do bad things to people. What do you think, Jason?
I can't disagree with that. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I think this is a broken dude. Like the Robin came out and it kind of opened his eyes and made him think about some things and care about some stuff. And then the Robin got killed and it kind of crushed him. And yeah, he rides off. And I think he's a changed person. And I actually think it's for the worse.
Yeah.
Bo?
Nothing.
Yeah, I was like, you're on your own. I'm not answering.
No, I skipped that a bit again. I really don't. Yeah, that's.
I don't think you should have to answer, Bo.
Really?
You ended your story the way you ended it. You shouldn't have to say to people what happened next.
Can I just say? Can I add one little note though?
Yeah.
I was listening to it. My parents were when I was. Which they enjoyed. Was very rarely do they like get the things that I do. So, but they really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Good.
I was sitting there listening to it, and it occurred to me that I wish I had wrote in that the old gangly Grinsley wolf had showed back up and walked into town with him.
Oh,
and I was like, I could kill myself for not wrote that in. So,
how could we forget that? Because they had that one wolf just staring at him the whole time.
Yeah. So that one wolf that was staring at, just for canon, it's canon, people. That wolf walked into town with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
Maybe I'll
awesome.
do some like artwork or something and show it or something. But yeah, I kicked myself so hard listening.
Because then I say, if the Robin was the mom, then the wolf is dad.
Well, it's essentially. Oh, do I give that away?
Nope.
No. Okay, I won't. I won't say anything. I won't say anything. But yeah,
awesome.
I would have added the wolf going into town with him. So please forgive me.
Amazing.
Well, hey, yeah, we definitely, he could have, the wolf could have came back, ate Belinda, or at least, killed her and then joined him. Nice. All right. So one thing I did want to talk to you guys about is the time it takes to produce this. I wanted to ask Bo and Graham and Jason how long it took them to do their part in this story. So Bo, how long does it take you to write this story from start to finish?
This I turned into you at the last second. I didn't even start it until the last month, right before deadline was called. And I had worked on it a little bit, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to finish it." And then that last week, I just powerhoused through it. So let's just say a week, collectively.
Okay. Graham, how long does it?
It's funny. I remember I feel this was back in May.
Yeah, it was a long time ago for sure.
And
wow.
And I remember because I was going out of town for 3.5, 4 weeks, and I knew that even though I was going to have recording equipment with me, I wanted to see what I could get recorded and into Jason's hands so he could have something to work with. And I recorded at home all the way through
to when Belinda came back.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember.
And yeah, I recorded all of that. And I'd say that probably took me a full night. And yeah, and then the second half I recorded probably, I don't know, 2 months later.
Oh wow, that late?
I think so. I mean, wow. I'm pretty sure I didn't get back from my 4 weeks and Jason was like, I need that next part right now. Although I'm used to that tone.
That's very nice. That's exactly how it is here at the Grey Rooms.
Give me the down. Give me the audio.
I need.
Yeah. I'm sitting here at my software and I need some sound. And then I did the second half, but I feel like that was what was unusual about this, is that there was a weird break between the first and the second, but I sort of got the first chunk out the door earlier than normal, just because I wanted Jason to have some stuff. And then I had time to come back to it. And I was a little concerned that I want to make sure I matched the tone. That would be the worst thing, is to come back and have a different voice and having different intensity. So I went back and listened to it, and that was important. But ultimately 2 days just stretched out over with a gap between them.
Jason.
Well, now that everybody knows exactly how it is behind the scenes, I need this now. And I need this 5 minutes ago. No, but no, it's not like that at all. No, thanks, Graham. I actually remember being floored by Graham sending that. It's like, I'm already done through the Belinda part. I was like, holy crap! But I think I spent about 4 to 5 days on this story.
You got the bulk of it.
Yeah, fortunately, season one was the first time I ever really did any kind of editing as far as audio dramas. I had never done that stuff before. I'd always worked in like radio and all that kind of little jazz, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of little shortcuts, for lack of better words, like techniques and things to kind of help me out and speed things up. And when I jumped into this, being that, I work with a professional like Graham, who just delivers great stuff to begin with, and then everybody else came along. It only took me, max about a week to really come up with it. So yeah, and it was a lot of fun to work with. And I already had like the gears turning in my head, because I knew it was a Western and I knew it was a Bo Chappell story, and I've done stuff with his before, and plus like we put that thing out for Year 47, which is a great book. We have that here.
Thank you.
And so it's like I already know what I'm working with. So the gears are just going. So it took me a solid week, which is pretty cool now, because honestly, if I really sit down behind a story with the things I've learned and some of the stuff going on, it probably takes me about 4 to 5 days to pump out a 25 to a 40 minute story, which is pretty cool. With last season, I'd be pulling my hair out, like, oh my god, I gotta get 40 minutes out. How do I get this out? I don't even know. God, I got this friggin' Raymond story to do. What the hell? I got behind the door. What the hell's going on? I want to just kill myself, but now I don't even care, because I'm okay with it. Yeah.
That's the guy I was impersonating when I said, give me the audio. Yeah, that's the guy. He's not around anymore.
Nah, man. No. Now I got a full decanter of bourbon, a little bit of vacation time, and a whole lot of whatever.
Well, to be fair too, things like music and all of that stuff. It was expensive and a long production to find everything. So
yeah, Graham. Brian, like those first few stories, like some people don't know this, but those first couple of stories of the first season, a few of those cost like a couple of $100 to make.
Yeah.
Oh God. I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've forgotten you were telling me like, oh, I finished it. It cost about $200.
Yes,
Yeah, I think Bose was the most expensive, wasn't it? It was like $700 or something.
It wasn't that much.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I think it was.
Freaked me out
Totally
like
was.
I know, that's what I was trying. But
I actually think Ice Station Bravo was the most expensive one, honestly. So, but
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, no.
One thing, with all of your knowledge, with all of Graham's knowledge, I know Bo's knowledge in the story and doing everything, you guys, and with JM in there and Holly, somehow, some way, you guys decided, hey, let's do a music video. Can you guys talk about how that ended up happening and how it worked out?
Because just for clarification, that had nothing to do with me. I don't know who put that on, but I was just as surprised as you, and it was amazing. So
we did an end run around Jason there.
Yeah, right. Whatever is what it is.
No, Jason had he had 1,000 other things to worry about.
So
how
Graham
did
and
that idea
Bo
come up? I think Bo must have been Bo's idea.
No,
I think it was JM's idea, actually.
I'll tell you. I will tell you my part, and then y'all can sort. I got a message from Graham, and he said, considering what I did with editing that year 47.
Oh no,
video.
we got to go all the way back to the start, though, Bo, about how the idea of coming up with a standalone version of the song.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the initial emails and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking about that the song in the story, because I just wrote lyrics. I'm not a musician.
Yeah. Bo had just written some lyrics in the song, and I think Holly got to it and said, "What do you want me to do here?" And I'm sure, Bo, when you wrote the story, were you thinking of Holly and knowing that she was a singer?
Yeah, I knew Holly and JM would do something.
I had no idea Holly was a singer, by the way. That's new to me.
Well, you kind of do. We mentioned her CDs, I think, last year.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot. Holy cow, I suck.
Yeah. But the thing is, Holly improvised that melody.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that she did that improvisational melody and sent it to us to see what we thought.
That was less than 24 hours too, right? I mean, she did that so quick.
I think so, but then get this. Then Holly had some stuff going on in her life, and we were trying to get the main lines recorded, and it took her a while, and then she got them recorded, and we had those audio files, and Jason sat down to edit it. And he said, "Where's the song?" And so Holly,
I do remember that. Yeah.
When Holly recorded her main sit down, I'm going to do all the lines. I'm going to do Belinda. I'm going to do the Robin. She didn't record the song.
Oh.
And I went back and found that demo audio take that she had done, and I sent that to Jason. I'm like, here it is, because I always picture Jason sitting at his computer, and he's trying to do the work. And when there's a file missing, I feel, bad, because he's like, I'm sitting here, and if the sound of the file was where I was supposed to be, I could do my job. So I got him the file.
Thanks, Graham. I appreciate. You're the only one. You're the only.
I can't score air.
Yeah.
Although JM could score air.
Yeah, JM could square. So we've worked, the entire song was built off of this one take that Holly sent us as how about this? Do you think this is good? And that's the audio to this day that we've used. And then I don't know who's the first person who sort of said, was it JM who sort of said, well, yeah, we could do this as a standalone in addition to how it sits in the piece.
Well, JM has always wanted to make his own tracks. Like, he has always wanted to take this and make something that somebody could download or have. Like, he's thinking outside of just the realm of doing the ambience and the audio for the podcast. He's thinking about somebody who can have a ringtone, somebody who can that's just JM. Like he's musically, he's a masterpiece creation tool. That's what he is.
Yeah. But
Awesome.
there was that early talks in the email that you might could lay some tracks over it as well. Because you quote do a little singing, which I laughed at.
Right.
I was like, you do like Miz on Broadway. You've done that. You can do a little singing.
Just a little.
I think it sort of happened that Holly, there was this part of the story that needed some music. So I think we just sort of got in a circle and talked about it. And Holly said, here's my idea. And then JM later on he wanted to do it in context. So when he got the finished audio from Jason, then he's like, okay, I've got the song. I'll score it for the episode one way, but I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to score it a little differently as a standalone. And then I always thought to myself, because the song is such that it is the same sort of musical phrase repeated about 5 times, I thought, well, maybe if there were 2 lines that had some harmony, that would be a good way to add another layer. So I somehow sat down and I put in 2 lines of harmony, and then JM introduced a break between the second and third verse, and he made this really cool thing. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could have something visual? And I knew that Bo had some skills there, but I couldn't have imagined him finding this old sort of
it was amazing.
public domain footage.
That was awesome.
To splice together that fit the theme and the arc of the song. It was amazing.
Well, you're the one that it was the way you had worded it in the thing. You were like, stock footage or something. And I was like, stock. Like stock images or stuff, but
I was thinking like the Ken Burns effect, and you found black and white film.
Because there's so many like dirt old westerns that everybody's forgotten about. I was like, surely I can pull a narrative from one of these things. So I picked like a handful and I just started stripping them. And it just came together. It was all luck. It was luck in the films.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. You did a good job on that.
Yeah.
I think that set the tone for the story. If you that kind of gave you that hint, like, the Grey Rooms is coming back, season 2. Here's the first episode. This is a music video we made. That's how epic this is.
I mean, what other podcast is doing that? I mean, come on now. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, what other podcast has the story, has a music video? It's like, come on now.
Yeah.
And it's not like some cheesy music video. It's like a really elegant, old school looking. It just works so great.
Well, the beautiful
thing is, you guys all did a great job.
The beautiful thing is too, JM said that he kind of wants to do something similar to every freaking story. Like he wants to have like a music, not necessarily a music video, but he wants to have a track for everything, because he just loves the talent that he gets to work with and that we get to work with, and he just wants to do his part to escalate it even that much higher, so gotta love JM.
Yeah, for sure.
God knows I do, for sure.
I love all the Grey Rooms guys. I'm telling you, everybody's great. And
the women not so much.
You hear that,
no,
Brooks?
I meant in general. Everybody that's working on this. Thanks, Jason. You're a pal.
I'm sorry. What?
I'm glad we can edit this later. Okay, guys.
No editing.
I just want to say
no editing because it is sincere.
So
we're laughing at the awkwardness. That's all.
That was all the questions I had today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just wanted to, give everybody, as we wrap up, a chance to talk about anything that they're doing in addition to the Grey Rooms. We can start with Bo. Bo, is there anything you want to talk about or anything you're working on?
One thing on the horizon that might be coming out soon. If it is, I can't talk about it, but just stay tuned. And yeah, hopefully that goes through. The other thing is I am going to give away, come together with some other writers and created this nice little thing that I would like to give away for Christmas. But it's not just going to be for Christmas. Once I release it, it's just going to be free forever. So when it comes out, just keep an eye out for that.
Is there a title or anything like that, or?
Not necessarily. I don't know if it's going to be released under yet. I don't know yet. Still debating.
Okay.
What about
Stay
your book?
tuned.
What about your book?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, all my books are still available. Year 47.
Yeah.
Fires in. Once you get to know me, all that good stuff. And then, of course, I did all anything with the Fodder Crown. Even if I'm, especially if I'm not in it, go buy it.
Where can we go find those books? I mean,
Fodder Crown, great magazine. They also do publications. They were gracious enough to let me edit one of the books. I got to edit the Appalachian horror book that they did. But they're foddercrown.com, I think. And
nice.
That's their Twitter.
Yeah, we have the year 47 at our house, and me and Christina have been reading that together and really thoroughly enjoy that. So thanks for letting us do the epilogue at the very beginning, and great book, man.
Thank you so much.
If you get a chance, you check it out. If you like Bo's, if you like Jailbird, or if you like Lookalike, Bo's stuff is good. You should check his book out. Seriously.
We need to post those links on the actual, like in the show notes of this episode, so everybody can, have easier access to that.
And that's where they'll be. That's where you'll find them, everybody.
Gotta get love. Gotta get love.
Graham, what you're working on pretty much every podcast known to man, I think. But what's new? What's new going on?
What is new? There is a podcast that I'm contributing to called Rainition Theory. That is, I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out, but I'm really enjoying the scripts. I'm playing a spy, but I'm not sort of. The idea of the spy is a practical spy, sort of like a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's not about James Bond stuff. It's about listening. It's about it's more pedestrian than that. But the writing is really amazing, and the caption for the show's Twitter is it's an audio fiction podcast about the destruction of the world's greatest city. And it's I never even knew this word Rainition. REIGNITO. Oh, they spelt it wrong. Well, all right. Well, there's so many things in a Twitter handle. It's right in the Twitter handle, but then in the actual name above it, there's a missing. Anyway, Rainition Theory looks really cool. The writing is really wonderful.
No, I want to hear this.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I like playing a sort of a fussy old English spy. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm contributing a few characters to Henry Galley's new show that's launching in January called Less is Morgue. It's a comedy podcast where I think it's a ghoul, a ghoul and a zombie. Less is Morgue. And I think it's a ghoul and a zombie sort of dealing with their own stuff, but people keep dropping in for them to interview. So it's interesting. So those are two. And I've got to record some No Sleep stuff when I finish with you fine gentlemen.
Oh, nice.
I'll be for that too. Thank you.
All right, Jason, are you working on anything?
Nope. I'm just working on the podcast. I'm also working on Bane. We actually just we're actually getting ready to send out the 1 or 2 line I don't want to say audition pieces, but script pieces to the patrons who have been awarded the opportunity to be featured in a story produced by us for Bane, which Bane is a Patreon exclusive podcast for our patrons. But it's a Grey Rooms feature. But yeah, no, other than that, nothing. Just hanging out, listening, having a good time. Just drinking the coldies as cold as they can get.
And it is getting cold now. Just keep your windows open. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you all for coming. Thank you for, helping all of our fans to get a better understanding of the story and the process of creating it. I'd like to, again, thank Bo and Graham for taking part in this with us. And, again, you guys, all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining in and being such wonderful fans and enjoying our show. You guys mean so much to us. So, guys, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. Appreciate it.
Join us each week after every episode for another edition of Behind the Door.